Good afternoon. We are on the record in the matter of Capital Villa LLC versus Hassam Adil Ansari with case 24-03050 LT. May I have appearances for the record, please?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Don Keski for the plaintiff. Also on Zoom is Debbie Wren from DTN, agent for the owner.
Thank you. And Mr. Ansari, could you state your name for the record, please?
Hello, I'm Hassan Adil Ansari.
Right, thank you. So this is a first hearing in a landlord-tenant matter, and the parties have had an opportunity to meet in a breakout room. Mr. Ansari, I need to tell you that because this is a legal proceeding, you have a right to be represented by an attorney. That's the good news. The less good news is that, unlike in criminal cases, over here on the civil side, we don't provide an attorney for you. However, I may be able to help you out with that. Are you an MSU student?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you like the telephone number for legal aid?
Yes, please.
All right, that is 517-855-2044.
Thank you.
And then I also have here, not doing a good job with this today, but there's a website that is michiganlegalhelp.org,
Yeah, I got
all
that.
spelled out. And it's a website that you can go into. It's designed for people who are representing themselves in court. And if you log in between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. daily, there is a live chat where you can ask someone direct questions. Okay?
Thank you.
Also, I have two telephone numbers for agencies that might be able to help you get caught up on your rent. Would you like that?
Yes, please.
Okay. The first one is very simple. It's 211. It's like 911, but for social services. So 211.
Got it.
Okay. The other is an agency called Advent House. That telephone number is 517-485-4722.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. So because Mr. Keski has burden of proof, he's the plaintiff. He has to convince the court something happened. He's going to go first. Then I'll hear from you, Mr. Ansari.
Okay.
We'll proceed. So, Mr. Keski, what do you have for the court?
Well, we did have a breakout session that it really didn't resolve anything. We informed the tenant of the amount of the balance due. The total plus court costs, when you include January, it's $3,715.52. And Mr. Ansari could indicate his position.
Okay, Mr. Ansari?
No, I agree with the rent amount because I can see it in my application for the housing. So I don't disagree with the amount due. But
Okay.
what I was telling them earlier was the only reason I didn't pay the rent is because I'm trying to terminate my lease under 554.601B, and I have a personal protection order as evidence. I was physically assaulted at the apartment. I have had guns pulled on me, and I've had threats to my life. So I was trying to get out of the lease because I haven't lived in that apartment since end of late September. I am living slightly far away with my wife out of the safety of my well-being. I have I've been to the office regarding this. They said there's nothing they can help, and I have to pay them $500 and then pay the rent until they're able to re-rent it. I explained them my situation. They said they cannot help me with this. I have emptied the apartment completely. I have all my stuff out. I handed over the mailing key. I handed over the house key, and I have sent a certified mail as well as an email as well as an in-person handover for the termination of lease as well as my PPO order and notified the office.
And could you indicate, Mr. Ansari, when you sent that termination in
This was after Christmas.
of this year?
Yes.
And when did you turn the keys in?
I turned the keys in on Friday along with an envelope with my forwarding address.
Okay, well, wait, so that was 2 days ago, right?
Yes.
Okay, and it sounds like the the rent hadn't been paid for some time before that, perhaps, Mr. Keski?
Yes, Miss Wren could indicate the, I believe it was September partial rent, but or
No,
November.
November, there's a balance due for November and then all of December rent and the utilities.
Well, so the thing, Mr. Ansari, is until you give them back the keys,
I've handed over the keys.
I understand, but it was just
Yeah.
last. So
Yeah.
until you hand over the keys, they can't consider the apartment vacant or re-rent it. Did everyone else just
There
lose?
you are. There you are.
Just sort of vanished. All right. So, Mr. Ansari, until you hand in the keys, it's your apartment and you're responsible for it because they can't enter the apartment without your permission. All right. So it's not considered vacant. However, it sounds like this has been vacated now.
It's not, Your Honor. He allowed someone else to move in,
Well, okay.
so it's not vacant.
How are they getting in with no
I,
keys?
I did not allow anyone to move in. It was a very complicated situation. I had a friend stay for a few days. He would never moved in, but because he was threatening, he had a lot of weapons, knives, guns. I ran off and I completely left the place out of my well-being and safety. And I have the house keys, but I handed them over. The house was unlocked all this time, and I was just never there. I was just paying rent. I just had a person threatening me that he will kill me if I don't pay the rent. I had him physically assault me, and I didn't know what to do. I went to the office and there were no help, so I had to get a restraining order. And because of Christmas, they said I'll have to come in on Monday. I filed on Thursday. I had to come in on Monday to pick it up. And as soon as I got my order, I contacted police. They confiscated the weapon. They informed him that he cannot be in the premise and he cannot be around me. And I had the police escort me to get my stuff out. I got everything out. I handed over the keys. So I'm just trying to resolve and get out of this entire situation. I
What judge did the PPO?
uh, do you mind if I look at it for just
No, sure. Okay.
the PPO Carol and Koenig?
Carol Koenig, okay.
Yeah.
And what day did she sign that PPO?
Uh, where, how do I check that? Is it on top of it?
Usually it's right next to her signature.
She signed it on December 20th, 2024, 4:40 p.m.
Okay.
Oop, we lost her again.
We apologize about that. For some reason, we are having some Zoom connection issues. We will see what we can do to get this fixed.
There she is.
This is me, or if I'm touching the mouse, or I'm going to slide back. Okay, so is this other person in this apartment?
Not presently, because I had the police go there and check and call him too, and he informed them that he is visiting his family in Canada. Or I'm not entirely sure where he is, but Canada, Windsor, so like 90 minutes away.
But his
Okay, let me
belongings
try this again. Is his stuff in the apartment?
The police only told me to get my stuff, and I did not check for his belongings. So I'm unsure because was not allowed to enter his room.
Well, in the common areas, did you see anything that may have belonged to him?
He did not own anything.
Winter coat, a computer, anything that someone might have.
I did see his shoes, some extra shoes in the living room.
Okay.
he's allowed them in there, so now he has possession, and it's a joint, it's his lease, and so I can't just throw out the things, and he allowed him in there, and so I can't just change the locks. I mean, Your Honor, you've watched me come to court and not stop because I had a bed in there and I wasn't sure. And so this position that we're in is because he invited him in. And I can't separate from that. I would love to be able to do that, but I have to have possession in order to do that, or a writ so that I can move forward. So if I had a judgment for possession, I can at least go in and change the locks so that I can take possession back. The complaint in the 7-day is his name and all other occupants, and so it might fall underneath that. A possession judgment doesn't affect his credit. I'm going to have to move forward, even though he has done his keys. I don't know how else to separate from this because the police won't move him out because he invited him in. He let him in. So he's a trespasser that I can't move out. And so if he hadn't walked him in the door,
Right.
a different situation. So I'm at a loss beyond asking for I'm sorry to jump right in here, but I'm just, without all I can see as an option is he's here now. He could I'm just throwing this out here as an option. He could do a consent judgment. I could have a writ in 10 days and be able to end the occupancy part of this in 10 days. And I don't know if we could even do a judgment that removed his name from the possession because he's handed the keys, and do a judgment against and all others, and then do the writ on and all others. But like I said, it doesn't affect his credit for the possession because I'm not asking for a money judgment. As far as the legality of whether or not he owes beyond this, that is a matter not before the court. That's a whole separate issue. So what I need to do to protect him based on what he did is to get possession so this guy doesn't burn the building to the ground. If he burns the building to ground, the lease is in this gentleman's name, and I want to get him out legally the quickest way I can. And the only way I can think of doing that is to have that judgment and wait that 10 days.
Yeah, I think that's,
From a layperson's point of view, that was the best I could come up with.
right. So, and I would go back to, Mr. Ansari, when you were there, you said police removed weapons.
Yes, he had guns, he had assault rifles, he had Glocks, had shotguns, a lot of ammunition. And I was also unaware, but this one time he did pull a gun on my head, and
Okay.
that's when I decided I have to leave because I was very like it was not possible for me to. Yeah.
I would say, so here's what I'm getting at. When the police removed the weapons, were those in the common area, or were those in a bedroom, like his
Uh,
bed?
I was not present at the premise because I haven't been there in a long time. I was at the police station. I gave them the PPO. I told them about the whole situation. Police officers went down to the apartment and took it. So I'm unaware of where the weapons were.
All right. So having heard Ms. Wren's explanation, are you willing to enter into a consent judgment with the apartment complex today?
What does that mean? I'm unsure.
I don't think he understands why this would actually be a benefit to him, about how this puts a clock on it. In 10 days, we're done with this gentleman in the apartment and the exposure. So I think that's what his question is, not to jump in and
Right. So a consent judgment is an agreement that Mr. Ansari, you make with Ms. Wren on behalf of the apartment complex. You would agree to certain terms. So in this case, you would agree to vacate the apartment legally within 10 days. Just a minute. So what that means is, I know you're physically gone, and I know you've turned in the keys. We're sort of we're we're in sort of a legal twilight zone. So that means 10 days from now, on or about January 9th, Ms. Wren could file for what's called an order of eviction against other occupants. That would give her the legal coverage. She would come back, she would ask for an eviction against other occupants, which the court would probably sign, all right? At that point, the moment it's signed, then there's another 10 days before she can change the locks. However, actually, you could probably go at it for hazard to premises and legality if you've got a copy of the PPO, which would abbreviate that a bit. So, Mr. Ansari, a consent judgment would effectively take you out of this from here on forward. Now, would there still be a matter of the back rent owed, Ms. Wren?
Right. And that's a separate matter that we would not be dealing with. Possession is what we're wanting to deal with because I still have a contract for a year. That is outside of what we're doing with the court today, and that would be dealt with separately under a different case.
But it would, Mr. Ansari, remove you from responsibility, legal responsibility for anything that happened in the apartment after a certain point, not immediately, unfortunately, but at least if the worst were to happen, it would give you a level of legal protection. What questions do you have?
Because I was trying to terminate my lease under the 554.601B. Will this affect that? Because obviously I'll pay whatever I owe, but I'm also trying to leave this city and move somewhere else and not be liable for July's rent.
Okay, let me just,
One option may be to, in the possession judgment, include the rent and court costs up to the time he turned the keys in.
But we're not relieving him from the balance of the lease. If there's, I'm not in a position to make that determination, and we're not asking for money. I'm only asking for possession. So money is outside of this anyway. If he doesn't pay, nothing happens beyond. Actually, it's preferred that he doesn't make that payment in the next 10 days, because if he does, we're back where we started again. So separating any type of money from this it makes more sense, because he's not going to pay. And if he does pay, then we have to start all over again because we still don't have possession of the apartment. So the money is outside of this.
No, I
no,
have the money to pay. The only reason I haven't paid is because I don't live at the apartment. It's not like I'm broke.
What she's saying is that legally speaking, if she was to accept money from you,
Okay.
we'd just be back in another loop. So she's not saying that you don't owe the money, but she's saying that will be addressed in a different court filing, a different hearing at some point in the future. What Ms. Wren is most concerned about, I believe, is the same thing you're concerned about, which is the safety of everyone who encounters this individual and the danger of this individual residing with you or next down the hallway from anyone.
Yeah.
So she wants to.
I want to do possession only.
Would you like to make this a termination of tenancy? But then, Ms. Wren, yes.
Yes, but a 30-day hasn't been sent.
Yeah, correct.
But a termination for non-payment of rent, possession only, if we just keep it in that box, then we're covered. If he's provided his forwarding address, he'll get a letter. He'll have the opportunity within the Security Deposit Act to dispute the charges and move forward as to what we do with any balance after you've moved out. That's a whole separate matter that's outside of this and is actually outside of the court in general. We don't sue people after the fact. We set up payment arrangements for balances, or they, or they go to collection. But what I need is possession so that this person that he invited in doesn't do harm to other individuals in the building. I have a legal responsibility to the other residents, especially knowing that
Right.
you know what I mean? I have to protect everybody, and the quicker I can do, and I can't even do a 7-day for health and safety because he's not the person. He just invited him in. So every time I twist this around, the best I can come up with is possession.
So, Mr. Ansari, the law is a blunt object. I think of it as a Lego set. And there are only certain configurations that a court or Ms. Wren or anyone can do with those Lego sets. And it might be better to think of it as a Rubik's Cube. You
Right.
turn them, you twist them. But the important thing here for you is to keep this person away from you and your wife for your safety.
Yes.
The important thing for Ms. Wren right now, she's been in front of the court many, many times, and I've seen her I've seen her go to incredible lengths to help people who were unable to pay the rent. She's gone. Now she's going to, and generally that means keeping people in their apartments. But right now she's going to that length to protect everyone else from allowing him to move back in. Now, this Rubik's Cube only turns in certain ways. And because your name is on the lease, she can't do anything to this other person
Okay.
unless she gets you off. Now, you want to be relieved from the lease.
Yes.
That's what you want under the statute. I think everyone's working the same direction here. The immediate thing is addressing the fact that this person could come back. And for you, that would mean that, forgive me if I'm wrong here, Mr. Cassie. For you, Mr. Ansari, that would mean that your apartment is still occupied, okay? Because you let this person in. For them, that would mean that this person, who is arguably quite dangerous, would be back on their premises.
Okay.
So I'll hand it over to Attorney Keski. Your thoughts, sir.
Well, we could, if everyone agrees to a consent judgment for possession, and in the form they generally have numbers, and I guess we would put for rent and past due and court costs, not put any numbers in there.
Well, it does, Mr. Kasky, it wouldn't matter if we put numbers in there or not. What matters is him not paying it. So that doesn't mean it's not due. It can be paid after the fact. He just, hopefully he would not make that payment within the 10 days.
Right.
Is where I'm at. Not that you don't owe it, just you have 10 days, because the document in lay people's terms, if I might, it just says you have to do something by this date. It'll give a date 10 days from now, or whenever the judge signs the documents. It'll be 10, 11, 12 days. There'll be a date on there that says you must pay or move within this period of time by this date. If you don't, then I go to the court and fill out a paper that's called a writ of restitution. And I say to the judge that this money was not paid, but I still think somebody's in the apartment. And then I have to swear that money has not been, or I have to affirm that money has not been received. If the money hasn't been received, then generally, of course, not telling the court what to do, but generally what happens is the judge signs that. Once the judge signs that, then I can contact the sheriff. The sheriff can go there, knock on the door, post it, open that door, and see what's left in there. If there's something left in there, we can remove it. Once I remove it, I get to change the locks, and the apartment now belongs back to the landlord. That's the chain of events. Did I say that?
He does not have a spare key. The only key that I had is with the leasing office right now.
And I can appreciate that, but
Yeah.
legally, that's the legal procedure. And the worry is that if you get this and you pay within 10 days, legally, it undoes the whole agreement. So she's in the same position. She's in the exact same position, which is he can come back. So pragmatically, practically speaking, you've done a lot. You've gotten him out of your life. You've gotten legal protection for yourself. You've handed the keys back in. But there are some legal factors that still need to be covered for Ms. Wren and for the other people who live there. And that's what she's asking us to do. The most important thing is to get you off that lease, okay? And for you to not pay, because if not pay within 10 days, you might have to pay later, but please, if you pay within 10 days, we're all going to be back here having the same conversation, and this person could try to claim that he has a right to live there. You maybe you've heard the phrase squatters' rights.
There you go.
That's what the police officers told me. That's why, because I asked them if they could remove him, and I'll deal with. And they said they don't have the authority to remove this person.
So,
Well,
what
there's another option, and that is you put in the rental numbers and the court costs into the possession judgment up through when he turned the keys in, and then in the box or the paragraph that indicates a move out date, put in that the language that the tenant has already moved out, turned in the keys, and he agrees to immediate vacation, and he does not authorize anyone else to be in the apartment. So that you don't even have 10 days to worry about. It's an immediate. If we put that language in that paragraph.
There you go. The smarter, yeah, Mr. Kesky. Because the only one that's going to be disputing this is our defendant. And he's not going to dispute it because he does agree with that. That's where the only challenge would be to that language, would be that is not correct, is him, because he's not going to dispute it because he has. Then I'll be able to get in there and move forward on that.
So, Mr. Ansari, do you agree to that?
So, not to be rude, but what am I agreeing to right now? Just immediate possession?
Basically.
Yes.
And how will that affect me in this? Because obviously in the future I'm moving cities, but in that new city I would want to rent or lease. Will that affect that?
That's a separate matter. That's outside of this. You'll receive a statement within 30 days of moving out that lets you know what our position is on your lease. And then there are guidelines that you go in. There's a public act that you follow and procedure you follow. Following that is outside of this court hearing. Has nothing to do with this court hearing.
But for right now, Mr. Ansari, that would mean that there are no suits against you for money. It could happen in the future, but not right now. So this month, if you're looking for an apartment, it doesn't exist. It could in the future, but if I were the manager of ABC Apartments in New York City, I wouldn't find anything if I did a background search because
there's nothing on your credit. There's nothing on your credit. They contact us directly. We give a copy of your ledger, and your ledger will show that there's a balance, but there's no public trade on your TRW or Experian or any of those reports. That is not on the big three trades, your credit reports.
Okay, because when I on a phone call with Mr.
I can't promise you beyond that, sir. I can't promise you beyond this as far as what's going to happen with the rent and.
No, I understand that, but when I visited the office, my whole intention was to just visit the office and resolve it, so I can be on my way and you guys can have your apartment back. So that's what I've been trying to do, but
I understand. We understand, but the gentleman was brought in by you. And so, he was invited in, and so possession inadvertently, this happened, and it's illegal. It's part of that Rubik's Cube. It's that possession is the squatter's right, trespassers, possession, tenets of the law. All those phrases are a chain of events that happen by things that we do, just like the chain of events that I'm trying to do, and Mr. Kesky and Your Honor is trying to do, to undo those things. It isn't just as simple as I didn't invite him in. I don't know what you're talking about. He wasn't welcomed by me. Just go in and take the apartment. I can't because he can sue me.
Okay. Can you elaborate? When we were in the breakout room, you said the police will deal with you. I just don't want to be arrested on this matter.
Oh, no, you would never be. The police deal with any issue you have with him.
Right, no, so this is civil court, sir, so civil court is just,
No, I understand. the
words,
civil- yeah.
arguments about money. Police are not involved in civil court at all. So, and a lot of people make that mistake. They think that when they've been sued for something like, say, a dog bite, that if they lose, that they could go to jail. No, no, no. So civil is separate from criminal. So that's not at all. You have
Okay.
no chance of dealing with police because of this. I want to remind you.
Never arrested for landlord tenant. Never, ever, ever would you go to jail because of landlord tenant non-payment of rent, ever. But if you have issues with him, that is the police. You and the police have to deal with that.
So what happens when I sign this, what Mr. Keski talked about, the immediate lease termination thing?
Well, my suggestion would be that in the possession judgment, it's not a money judgment, it's a possession judgment. It's a one-page form that we put in the numbers for rent and court costs owed up through the date you moved out. You turned in the keys. And that in the separate paragraph where it indicates usually pay or stay with 10 days, we write in the phrase that the tenant has vacated and turned in the keys on such and such a date, which I think you said was December, 2 days ago?
Yes, so I think December 27th or the 28th.
December, or we'll say December 28th, and that he agrees that an immediate eviction may be processed, and that he does not authorize, and he's vacated the apartment, turned the keys in, and he does not authorize anyone else to be living there.
Okay.
And that would be in language in that first paragraph after the numbers are shown on this form.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind that. I'm just concerned if like, what if he thinks that I touched his stuff and he like comes after me or something?
That's where the police come into play.
And that's where you would call the police for your protection.
Okay.
That's what I meant. That's between you and the police. We can't protect you from that at all, and nor should we. It's a police matter.
But
And he has to know where you're at. Don't tell him.
don't tell us, because this goes up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Don't-
Yes, and don't tell us. Yes, thank you. Great.
I mean,
If-
because
if
we don't want that information out. Now, here's the thing. That PPO is a legally binding document, meaning that if he's within 1,000 feet of you, you want to check the actual language on the PPO, but often it's 1,000 feet. If you see this person down the street, if you see this person at the grocery store, you call police. They have the authority to remove him from your presence and would likely, probably jail him until it was sorted out. Okay. So keep your antennae up, look around you, but you have a legal document that says that police can act against him if he comes near you. If he contacts you in any way, if he starts sending messages over text or anything else.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I understand that. Thank you.
Okay. So
Do you want the numbers then, Mr. Keski?
yes,
Pardon me?
yes.
Okay. the prorated amount would be $2,068.03 is the total. Let me I'll go backwards. The total prorate, this is $1,908.01. Costs $160.02. Total would be $2,068.03. That's rent to Friday.
Okay, and then the other thing is that I would need Mr. Ansari's email so I can send him a copy of the consent judgment.
Okay, so Mr.
Let me
Ansari,
check and see if I've got it. I don't want to put it on the,
we definitely don't want that on YouTube right now.
yeah, let me just check and see if I've got that. Hold on. I don't.
Okay, so Mr. Ansari, if you want to type that in the chat, because the chat.
Oh, you can do that and that's not public? Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, but Debbie, can you pick it up off the chat?
Yeah, just a second. I'm looking to see if I have it. Hold on here. I have it.
Okay.
I
Okay.
have it. So I'll take care of that, getting that to you. All right. I'll get this to you, Mr. Kuski.
Okay,
And he's already provided us his forwarding address when he dropped off the keys. He said, I haven't confirmed, I haven't received any notification the keys have been dropped off. So all of that will stay off this platform.
Okay, excellent. Now, Mr. Ansari, when you receive this, please do them the favor of not paying it.
Okay.
Because otherwise we end up back here again.
Okay.
Do them the
No,
favor.
the only reason I haven't paid is because I haven't lived there. It's not like I don't have the money to pay it. It's just you understand my
I do. I do.
yeah.
I understand. I mean, you've had a harrowing few months, and I'm
And
glad you're getting away from this. I'm glad you had the foresight to do the PPO process. So now we're just going to cover their concerns, and
okay.
you won't be legally responsible for it anymore. They'll have some legal opportunities and rights. And then we just start to move forward. Okay.
Okay. Understand that.
Okay. Anything further for this matter?
the only thing is that we'll probably be emailing that out around 5 or 6 o'clock tonight.
You didn't ask for permission to sign his name either, Mr. Kuski.
Yeah, do you give me permission to sign the consent judgment form?
Mr.
Yes.
Yeah, but it'll be sent to you and you can see that it confirms with what we talked about. It's just that logistically, that's what everybody usually agrees to.
Okay. No.
Okay,
Yeah.
Then, one more legal requirement. I have to tell you, Mr. Ansari, because Mr. Keski is an awfully nice guy, he can't help himself. He is an attorney. And that means that you have 3 days, and you are not. That means you have 3 days to reconsider this agreement. If you do, please contact Mr. Keski immediately and then contact the court. Although I would say that this has been a more protracted process than we usually have. And I would hope that this would be the point where we could put it behind you, but that is your right. Anything further for this matter, Attorney Keski?
nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further, Mr. Ansari?
No, that'll be all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Best of luck to you and your new life.
Thank
Okay.
you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. You may disconnect. Mr. Keski, Ms. Wren are not so lucky. We have the 2:20 here. So we'll put you in a breakout room with them. And Mr. Ansari can go about his day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.